Welcome to our hilarious, eye-opening documentary about the unsung heroes of World War I. Women, yes, that's right. While the boys were off playing in the trenches, the real action was happening back home. Spoiler alert, it wasn't just knitting socks for soldiers. Buckle up, folks, it's about to get a lot more explosive than you thought.
Now, you've probably seen those iconic images of women in munition factories, right? You know, the ones where they look like they're about to single-handedly blow up the world. Well, that's because they were.
These ladies weren't just dabbling in arts and crafts. No. They were making 80% of the weapons used by the British Army. No big deal, right? But wait, here's the kicker. They were working with poisonous substances and no safety equipment. Nothing says I love my country like turning a lovely shade of yellow from sulfur exposure.
And the best part, they were getting paid half of what men were doing for the exact same work. So yeah, if you're wondering why they called them canaries, it's because they were literally glowing, like not in a fun radioactive way.
Ah yes, the home front. That's the term they coined during World War I to describe how every citizen, not just soldiers, was mobilized. The factories weren't just making fancy dresses anymore, folks. Oh no, these workshops were turned into war machines. Women replaced the men who went off to battle, and they didn't just sit pretty. They were working harder than a mule on a hot summer day.
The home front wasn't about just staying home and, while being home. It was a battlefield of its own, where you didn't get to dodge bullets. You dodged food shortages and rationing coupons. You didn't face enemy soldiers. You faced things like childcare struggles and doing your best to make sure the neighbor's cat didn't eat all the food meant for the soldiers. The home front was basically the ultimate group project, only with way more pressure and no chance to get an extension.
Oh, you think women stayed out of the action? Think again. Meet Dorothy Lawrence, an aspiring journalist and a total
Bad belief.
In 1915, Dorothy decided to join the British Army, but there was a tiny problem. She was a woman, no worries though. She just dressed up as a man and fooled the army for 10 whole days.
They thought she was just a camp follower. That's military code for, women of questionable character. Dorothy, however, was not amused and had to give up her secret identity, only to be questioned by authorities who were completely baffled by her audacity. Imagine the scandal. A woman in the army? Unthinkable.
But wait, Dorothy wasn't the only one sneaking up to the front lines. Meet Flora Sanz, a woman who went from ambulance driver to full-fledged soldier in the Siberian Army. She was promoted to Sergeant Major. Yes, Sergeant Major, because why not? It's not like women had anything better to do, like running the world.
Flora didn't stop there. She later became a major. A major, folks. Can you imagine? That's like your mom becoming the CEO of a Fortune 500 company while still telling you to clean your room.
Bombastic side-eye.
And then there was Maria Boskar, a Russian soldier who took fighting for your country to a whole new level. She convinced her leaders to let her form an all-female battalion, to shame the men into joining the army, because nothing motivates a guy more than a bunch of fierce women showing him up.
The Battalion of Death sounds like a theme from a heavy metal band, but no, it was a real thing. And it worked. Maria and her gals kicked some serious butt, even though their actual combat experience was a little limited. Meanwhile, back home, the women weren't just twiddling their thumbs. Oh no, they were working in government offices, farms, munition factories, basically taking over all the jobs men had abandoned when they went to war. And guess what? The women were good at it. Like, really good. But they weren't just filling out paperwork, no. They were fighting for their right to vote. And guess what? They got in. In 1918, Britain finally let women over 30 cast a vote. It was a victory that didn't just change the course of history. It made sure women wouldn't be reduced to cooking and cleaning again.
And then we have the big old total war machine. That's right. World War I wasn't just about soldiers with big guns and many trenches. Nope, it involved the entire country. Civilians were mobilized, rationed, and sometimes even censored. They controlled food, raw materials, and believe it or not, your opinion. Political truces were enacted to keep everyone united, because nothing says unity like shutting down any idea that doesn't fit the narrative.
You stupid!
But there was a price. Women were working in factories and the farms, while infrastructure and medical care took a backseat. Things like childcare, food shortages, and inflammation were daily struggles. Class tensions, they were higher than ever, especially when war profiteers were busy living the high life while everyone was barely scraping by.
And when the war ended, well, everything changed. Women didn't just change their clothes, they changed the world. Shorter skirts, shorter hair, a new sense of freedom. They might have gone back to domestic life, but their impact on the workforce, politics, and culture couldn't be undone.
So next time someone tries to tell you the men were the only real heroes of World War I, just remember, the women were doing all the hard work and still found time to look fabulous while doing it. Heroes indeed.
And that's it for today's fun-filled adventure through history. If you enjoyed the show,
make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, behind every great war is a woman who got stuff done.